when I work clairvoyantly, for me, the way I work is if they're in front of me, I look slightly to the left and I feel around their past. I look directly at them. I feel about the now, what's happening now. And then I look to the right to feel about the potential future. And I dip into the potential future. And I say potential because my own personal belief is that there are some things in people's lives that are literally determined, predetermined, set. You know, if you're meant to meet a person on a certain date, if you're meant to pass over on a certain date, I think that happens. But I think it's like a river, it's fluid, and there are some things that can be slightly altered. You can take a easy route or a more complicated route. And I think that works exactly the same way as future life progression. You're dipping into a potential future, and how it works is if you, with future life progression, it's like a magnet. If you latch on, if you hook onto that potential future and it resonates with you and it feels good and it feels right and positive, it's rather like manifestation. You pull it, literally attract it to you, and it forms. That's the whole premise, if you like, behind it. It's like manifestation. You see this potential future, it's good, and by hooking into it, if you like, you resonate with it, you start pulling it towards you. And I've taken people like 2 or 3 years ahead, 5 years. Scott Mills on Radio 1, we were going 100 years ahead and things like that.
Really?
And way ahead.
How far can you go with one person? I mean, because this must be a restriction then in some case to their own current life span, if I put it that way. But can you kind of follow the spirit or the soul of somebody?
Sure. Yeah, there's no restriction at all. We go out of this life and go ahead. And I've gone as far ahead, and so far I haven't had a request to go further than 500 years, but we've gone ahead as far as 500 years. And the interesting thing is once you start getting into the hundreds of years, people start reporting back virtually the same thing and identical things, and they report back, you know, changes in Earth's land mass, and they report back, you know, that changes in physical body, and you know, there's huge synchronicity and very, very similar things that people report back once you get around the same time periods. Now, skeptics of this, you know, say, what a load of rubbish. But whatever way you look at it, then, you know, every single person that I've ever done this with has got the same imagination, or they're all tapping into the same consciousness, the same information, or that what they're seeing and experiencing is actually potentially, you know, a real future in that time frame. So whatever way you look at it, it's interesting. But for me, it's just an extension. It's just like clairvoyance. It's exactly like clairvoyance. The only people I know working, and there's not many of them actually in the world that work in future life progression, but the ones that I know that are all clairvoyants as well. And I find that no coincidence. I think it's because we are so familiar with accessing that anyway. We know that time isn't fixed. We know it's pliable. I mean, time is doing crazy things now anyway. Time is all over the place. Time is either going massively condensed or massively spread out. It's doing all weird and wonderful things at the moment anyway. You know, time as we know it is literally dismantling or collapsing anyway. So for me, it's, you know, it's no way is time linear. It's very, very flexible. And while I'm talking here, you know, I'm waving my hands about. I'm all very animated, and I'm sort of bending them around and twisting them. And that to me is what time is like. It's completely pliable. And I think the guys, the more negative side at the top know this anyway. There are many things that are known that aren't released, you know, to the ordinary public. And I think they know this about time, and time is used again as a way of controlling people again, controlling the masses again. That's
right.
You know, it's another restriction.
I know that this would be a massive project, obviously, to undertake, but have you considered mapping this in some more detail in terms of future, maybe painting a picture, if you will, there from the perspective of different people, and try to understand what more in detail is actually going to happen and when, if you will?
Yeah, I mean, I could, it's something, it is honestly something I haven't done, but it's something that could easily be done, and it would be interesting, like I say, just from the work that I've done, I can see this. There's there's a couple more people that are doing this, worldwide as well. And I know they've come up with similar results. So we're all kind of pooling the same kind of results. But it would actually be interesting, to get round and brainstorm, with some of these guys, and maybe, because I don't think anybody yet, people have done, I think one lady has done a general book on future life progression, but not actually gone into detail on the information on the huge change in form of people.
That's right.
And the abilities they have, and the change of the earth, complete change of land mass and things like that. So it is interesting. It's, I find with clients, if you saw 10 clients in a week, or let's say 30 clients in a month, you may get 1 out of 30 that will go for future life regression, and the top reason they give is they're scared. Mm-hmm. And they are all frightened. They all say, oh, no, I'll go back into the past. That's done, but I don't want to see what might be ahead in case I don't like it. And you sort of have to explain, I work in a very high loving vibration. I'm not going to take them down a river of negativity and show them a negative one. I'm going to open them up to the most positive likelihood. We don't work on a negative vibration at all. Mm-hmm. But most people are just afraid that they're going to look a few years ahead and see something terrible. And but it's so much along the lines of clairvoyance, and clairvoyant readings. I think, like I said before, I think certain things in all our lives are determined, very much like we are the players in a show, on the stage, really, and that we go through these particular scenarios. But I think there are certain things that are set, and other things that we can alter slightly. So I don't have any fear like that of the future at all. But it's fear with most people. They're frightened of what they might potentially see. But then it's fear, this is again, so much what I'm about is, if you ask me to summarize, what I'm about, and if you said, right, you've got 1 day left to live, sum it up in one word, what are you going to do? Well, then my role is to take people out of, the lower vibration of fear, which is a lower frequency, and get them right up to the highest vibration, which is, love, really, to be honest. That's the bottom line for me. That's every single aspect of what I do, what I say, what I'm working in. And wonderful, wonderful speakers like David Icke. And I've loved David Icke, been a fan of his for 15, 16 years now. That's the bottom line for him, really. When you cut through all of it, he's trying to inform people. He's trying to wake them up from a state of fear. And he's trying to get them into a higher vibration. And he will talk, till the cows come home, about taking people into a state of love. And that's exactly what I am all about. And I'll do that whatever way I can.
Excellent. We'll definitely get into some of that and obviously what that means and so forth as well. And also why it's important at this particular time, I guess, because you mentioned earlier that there is, I guess, either happening or going to happen changes in the mass consciousness. And the thing that I've always asked and wondered about is why now? Why is it at this particular time then that all of these changes are happening? Or do you think that is, from our perspective, kind of a delusion, if you will, from the point of view that we are hungry for change, but it might be that every period in every people's lifetime throughout history and into the future is of equal importance? What do you think, Lindy?
Well, I think you're absolutely right on that. I think that this is an important time, but I tell you why. I think that there have been important times before, and my perception of it is that we have come to certain crucial times in our development before, and we haven't got it right, or we've mucked it up, or there's been interference from, there's no easy way to put this, extraterrestrial interference for good and bad that have sometimes purposely disrupted that. And that the way I put it is as the slate has been wiped clean, and that we've had to be started all over again, and my interpretation is this is, and I can only say, you know, I can only say from my own personal point of view, but the way I feel strongly about it is that this is another of those periods of time, and maybe, you know, we think, I mean, my opinion is, well, maybe this is the last time to get it right, but you know, maybe we all thought that, you know, every time round hundreds of years ago when it happened again. But I know we're in a vitally important time. And in the time that we're living now, and that's all we can base it on now, is I have no doubt whatsoever that we are in the middle of a massive shift of consciousness. It isn't something that's got to start. We're already halfway through this now, and I think it goes on through 2012. I don't believe for 1 second the world ends in 2012. I think any catastrophes, shall we say, I think very few of them will be natural, and most of them will be orchestrated through the use of things like HARP and other things, deliberately to promote fear, to play along with the script, the 2012 script, to frighten people more, to control people more. I think the natural changes and the change of consciousness accelerates and escalates and goes through 2012 up into 13, 14, 15, and just keeps going. I think any big crunch points around 2012, I think 90% of them will be deliberately triggered. I think they're deliberately being triggered now, to be honest. And I don't just say that from somebody that's passionate about world truth, which I have been, like I say, for at least 15 years. I say that from someone that's highly psychic, highly sensitive, highly in tune with energy. I'm a channeler, so I channel information from guides and you know, different realms. And so I'm saying this from a number of different sources here, but the bottom line for me is that we're in a unique period of time for us in the now, and that there are massive changes, but I have no doubt whatsoever that in the end, the positive consciousness side of this is going to be the one that wins through, if you like. Make no bones about it, we are in a very negative time at the moment, and when I talk to people about this, I use the example of a rat that's in the corner. When you've got a rat cornered, in a way, it's at its most dangerous. That's when it will take a bite out of you. And I feel like the negative side of everything is very much in the corner at the moment, and knows that the tide is starting to turn. And there's a lot of people, one way or another, being there's no easy way to put it. They're being silenced one way or another, and that seems to be escalating. You know. And I think again, we've reached a period of time where you either just shut up and you don't say anything and you just allow this to happen, or you get out of the trench, you wake up and you say enough is enough. You know, we need to talk about this. We need to, you know, explain this. We need to take people out of a state of fear, and we need to do something about this. And you don't have to. I'm not advocating, you know, people marching. You know, some people want to do that, you know, marching in the streets or violence or anything like that. I'm all about the exact opposite. You know, you couldn't be more spiritual than I am. I'm all about doing this totally peacefully and getting in touch with your own power, your own strength, realizing that you're connected to every